For most of you, this will be the first in a fairly lengthy series that deals with the leasing process. I promised you that I will give you something that is fairly revolutionary. I can guarantee you that for everyone that goes through this series with me, I will give you something brand new to think about. But it's going to be some hard work. I'm going to start today by talking about a concept called moments of truth. The first two in the series on leasing, first two segments that we're going to go through, really kind of set the tone for everything else that we're going to discuss. And I'm going to share with you almost everything I've learned in my career. Now, some of that I've learned from books, and some of that I've learned from seminars that I've gone to. But a lot of it I have learned from watching really spectacular people at the front line do their job. And I'm going to share with you what I've seen them do because I've watched it work. We're going to talk about the law, specifically the fair housing laws. Now, every business has laws that govern its practice, but ours is particularly interesting and unusual in that in our business, fair housing laws tend to cover every single person who has anything whatsoever to do with housing. The owners, the property managers, the people who contract to do management for owners, the people who work for them, the managers at the buildings, the leasing agents, and all the people at the front line. You can be a caretaker, you can be a maintenance person, you can be a painter. You can even be a vendor who contracts with a building to do work on a particular property, and this law encompasses you. Let's talk about another important term that exists in the law. The Fair Housing Law talks about who is covered under this particular act, and it uses the word agent. There is the law of agency. Now, who is an agent? Well, according to the law, it is a person or entity that is empowered to act in place of someone else. In this particular case, it is someone who can act for the owner of the property. Now, that might be the management company, and there's a contract in place. Now, why is that necessary? Well, real estate transactions, and leasing is a real estate transaction, involves a contract. Unless the people that work for the management company or the owner were covered as agents under the law, they couldn't sign that document. They could not bind the owner to that lease unless they were covered as an agent. They were considered under the law to be an agent. The same thing is true in the fair housing arena. Anything that any of the people do who are involved in housing, multifamily housing, or single-family housing management are considered to be agents under the law. There's something called a QR code, which is a barcode, and you can have them downloaded, you can get them free. And there are companies that may post them around their buildings. They simply put them in elevators, in common areas, where people can take their iPhones or their phones, their iPads, and they can scan them, and then they can, from that point on, post a review. Most owners that I know are a little reluctant to do that because you have to take the bad with the good. At the same time that they could be giving you a good review, it also reminds them that they could be giving you a bad review. But I see nothing wrong with putting one of those barcodes on the wall in your office so that when the opportunity arises that someone is dazzled by the service you have given them, you can say, you know what? If you don't mind scanning your phone, you could go right over there and write a review for us.